Hi everyone! On this episode of the Shonen Showtunes Interview Series, I'm talking to Ben Phillips. If you want to know more about Shonen Showtunes, I made a whole video just talking about the event, and there will be more episodes of this series, so the links of both of those will be in the description and at the end card of this video. Huge thank you to Ben for being a wonderful second guest. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. So, I like to start at the very beginning. What was the first musical you were ever in?
The first musical I was ever in, there were programs here and there in elementary school and such, but the first real musical I did would have been the Fantastics in college, and I had really just barely kind of gotten seriously into performing because I'd taken drama classes in middle and high school, but I mean, that was more just, you're in school, so you have to be doing something. And I was not really thinking of it as something to pursue at that time. And it was actually meeting Caitlin Glass. I met her at a convention, and then I saw her in a production of The Music Man, and I kind of got to know her, and I thought, this is something that I could maybe do. And then I'd taken some time off after high school, and I went back to college and was just taking different, I hadn't really thought in terms of a major yet, so I was just taking classes that sounded interesting, and that ultimately led into taking some acting classes. And then I did a play here, and then when the musical came around, auditioning, got one of the fathers, Bellamy. Mm-hmm. And so that was fun. My little brother was in it too, and he played Matt, the young lover, and I played the father of the girl that he was romancing. And one of my dear friends, who's sadly no longer with us, Rob Carroll, he played Huckabee, and we had a couple of duets where we sang about children in terms of gardening.
Yeah.
You plant a radish.
So cute.
You plant a radish, you get a radish. But with children, you never know. So that one was a lot of fun. That's near and dear to my heart.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So did your formal training didn't start until college? You never took any sort of like vocal lessons or anything like that beforehand?
That all really started in college. Like I say, I had taken drama and I had been on stage, but that was a lot less formal, more just in terms of getting through the school experience. And
right.
But then when I got into college and was there was actually a class called Integrated Arts that incorporated stage and music and visual art, and it kind of lumped them all into one thing. And that was kind of what got me out back on the path to acting, because the acting professor at the college was one of the teachers of that class was team taught. And so from there, I got into her acting class, and she actually asked me to audition for a play called Educating Rita, which, if you don't know it, it's a full-length play and there's two characters. Oh, okay. So that's a wild one to jump in on really kind of your first serious theatrical exploit, but it was a great experience, and I had a great actor working with me on that. And so after that, I ended up joining the theater department full time, and along with that, studied acting, obviously, and as part of that, vocal training. And I studied actually with 2 or 3 different vocal coaches during my time there.
So from there, what was your first paid live performance gig?
My first paid gig, I think, would be because once I was doing that, I'd like some community theater stuff over the summer. Um, and then I think the first one that would have been a paid gig would have been 1776 at Lyric Stage. And I played Colonel Thomas McCain, with a Scottish brogue that was fun to play around with. And the interesting thing about that show is, of course you do have the soloist, but you don't have an ensemble really, in a sense. There's all of the characters of the people who are actually there. So you've got kind of the main characters who have solos, and then you've got all of the other distinct specific characters who are actually people who were there. And so it's really interesting in that sense. And of course, another thing about that show is that it's unique for a musical in the sense that there is something like half an hour, maybe more, where there's no singing, just like all book stuff where they're debating in the Congress, which is interesting. So that was a fun one.
Yeah, a balance of a little bit of everything.
Yeah, definitely.
So when did voiceover start coming into what you were doing professionally?
Voiceover kind of came in around that time. It was actually Caitlin who was directing One Piece at that time, and started using me for Walla. And I had done a couple of sessions with her, and then kind of other people started using me for things. And I did some Walla for Monica Rial, who was doing some directing at that time. And Chris Bevins used me for a show called Shigurui, which I think was my first named character. And so that all kind of grew out of kind of getting into the acting from at the college.
So what would you say, of all the experiences that you had, is there one experience or musical or role that you had that really sticks with you and you feel like it's your favorite, or like the most memorable or the most meaningful to you?
Probably, when I was first, I don't really even know when I started to become aware of musicals, because it was such a part. Like, well, first of all, my dad is a musician.
Okay.
He plays guitar and trumpet and is a songwriter. So it's like in my blood from the get-go. And then, growing up with all the Disney movies that were basically musicals, and my mom showed me the the Mary Martin live Peter Pan, and my grandfather's favorite was the Music Man, so he showed us that. So it was like something that I was into before I even knew that it was its own specific thing. And then as I started to get into the Broadway musical end of it, one of the first shows that ended up resonating me, and it took a couple of times for me to kind of get into it and understand it, was Sweeney Todd. Which I kind of had to listen to it because it was a different sound than I was used to. So I had to start it and then get to The Worst Pies in London and realize, oh, this is hilarious. This is hilariously funny. And then continue on and then get to A Little Priest, which is, spoiler alert, where they decide they're going to bake people into meat pies. And then it's like, oh, this is a whole other level. And then actually, the last musical that we did in college when I was a senior was Sweeney Todd. And I got the opportunity to play Sweeney. And so that was a real impactful thing. That was something that was like, wow, really doing it. And we did it 4 times. And each time, you just have to savor it and say, this is really something special.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's fantastic. Oh my gosh. What a good way to like round out the college experience too. Like go out with a bang.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's perfect. Now, do you have a favorite musical or composer, and do you have a dream role on top of that?
Um, favorite composer would probably be Sondheim.
Mm-hmm.
I love the first of all, the cleverness of his lyrics is so apparent. But the way he, the basic conceit of the musical form obviously is that, the characters sing when they can't speak anymore, and, expressing things that they can't say. And he finds those moments so brilliantly and expresses those feelings cleverly, but with emotion, in a way that you can relate to, but you would have never thought to have phrased it that way. And so I've had the opportunity to play Sweeney, and I've gotten to play the baker in Into the Woods, which was another dream come true. So I would say, in Sondheim terms, I would love to do Pseudolus in A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum. That one's just like a comedic tour de force that I would love to take a shot at someday.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And then later on down the line, perhaps Follies, which is a kind of a darker, more a darker piece, but I'd love to tackle as well. And then there's another one that's very little known, that's probably top of my list, and it's called On the 20th Century.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I would love to. I love the style of that, and I love those songs, and I love the cast recording with John Cullum and Madeline Kahn and Kevin Kline. And I would love to get the chance to play Oscar. It's that one's a real long shot, because first somebody would have to produce it.
Right.
And it so rarely gets done. But that's the pie in the sky dream role.
Mm-hmm. Now, if you could cast any of the characters that you've played in an anime in a musical, what character would it be, and who would they play?
There's a couple.
Okay, feel free, as many as you want.
Myrrh from Radiant was kind of a kind of mischievous pixie kind of guy, wise and powerful, but also like up to no good from time to time. And I could see him in something like My Fair Lady, playing Alfred Doolittle,
Yeah.
with a little bit of luck. And I also think Kiyomizu from Millionaire Detective. He is so affable and so laid back. I could really see him as Amos Hart in Chicago.
Oh my God. Okay.
Roxy's husband, who's kind of the doormat, and then has that great number, Mr. Cellophane. You look right through me. I could sort of see him playing that part.
And finally, do you mind talking a little bit about the song that you've chosen to sing?
This was so interesting to think about, because, like I said, a lot of my experience has been with Sondheim, and those have been a lot of the songs that I've gravitated to. And obviously, coming out of the pandemic, the quarantine, we haven't been doing theater for a good while now. So that's something that I'm going to have to be, looking at again as theater starts up again. What do I want to audition with? And what I ended up looking at for this was, I wanted to find something kind of short and simple that just said its piece. And what I thought would be good was a song called "It Only Takes a Moment" from Hello Dolly, which is actually by Jerry Herman. And I just love, it's not complex lyrically or musically, but gosh, it says what it sets out to say so beautifully and precisely. And so I thought I would like to share that one.
All right, I love it. And here it is right now.
It only takes a moment for your eyes to meet, and then your heart knows in a moment you will never be alone again. I held her for an instant, but my arms felt sure and strong. It only takes a moment to be loved, a whole life long.
Another huge thank you to Ben for a wonderful performance and a lovely, lovely chat. If you want to see more of what you saw in this interview, but live in person, please let your local conventions know about Shonen Showtunes. And of course, thank you so much for watching this video, and I do hope to see you again real soon.
It is wonderful, my life. Please, could you kiss my name when the music's over?